Good evening, everyone, and happy Wednesday. We are switching things up just a little bit. Um, the thunderstorm that rolled through here last night really just kind of sped through, but my head was a little bit off. My mind space was not in the right space, so thank you for allowing me to pivot and come to Learning Live 24 hours late. Well, 23 hours. Hope you are all doing well. And today's bright, sunny day definitely made up for those crazy dark clouds last night. Okay. I'm hoping everybody's tuning in, hoping everyone has found us. If you are looking for what's new, we don't have anything new to show this week, so just watch the new arrivals. Tomorrow is a new month, and things will be rolling in. We've got lots of good stuff that are still in boxes, but are in processing as we speak. And tonight we are going to do Learning Live about Concord and Ninth Turnabouts. If you are commenting in the chat there, give us a shout and let us know. Have you ever used a Concord and Ninth Turnabout before? These are not a new product. They are new to us. We had them way back, and then kind of got out of the whole Concord and Ninth thing pre-pandemic, and now we are back. We love Concord and Ninth. We love a lot of what they do. And so we, based on input from Megan Andrew from the Scrapbooking Cards Today team, she wanted to show these off and demonstrate how easy they are to use at the SCT Markham event at the end of March. Wow, that was a whole month ago. And I have since fallen in love with it as well. We took these to our offsite event last weekend. In St. Mary's, and this is the little card we made as a make and take. And these turnabouts really are super easy. I think we've got two of these, or one or two of this stamp set left still in the store, but we did sell out at the event, even to the point that I sold off my samples as well. So I had to pivot and demonstrate something else tonight, but that's not a bad thing at all. So let's talk about turnabouts, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about different ways that you can use the output from a turnabout. Is anybody commenting, Matt?
Couple of hellos. Donna says she's never used a turnabout.
Okay, so we've got some people who have not used turnabouts before. People saying hello. So hello, good evening. So let's talk about turnabouts. Let's talk about the stamps first. And where we're gonna go with this. So essentially with a turnabout, this is a unique system that Concord and Ninth has. And the end goal is to make your own pattern paper. And I know I've taught you random stamping before. And there are different techniques you can do without a tool like this. But essentially how this works is you've got your stamp and you're going to stamp it once, say in blue. Then you're going to turn it 90 degrees and you're going to stamp it in yellow. And then you're going to turn it 90 degrees and you're going to stamp it in pink. And then you turn it one more time and you're going to stamp it in green. And I'm just making up colors here, but
it does require a MISTI though.
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Oh, okay.
Matt's jumping the gun here. So the whole idea is that you are going to use this stamp. You're going to stamp it 4 times in 4 different colors, or maybe not. I'm going to give you the exception to the rule later on. And this is what you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with this beautiful multicolored background. Now, again, it totally depends on the stamp that you're using. Concord does a monthly release, and almost every single release has a turnabout stamp in it. Sometimes they're small, like this guy. Sometimes they're larger, and this one does create a 5.5 by 5.5 inch panel. And this is the one that I've got a couple of samples already stamped up here. and we're going to use those in a little bit. This was my homework. This is what I got ready. But don't worry, we're going to take it step by step through the whole process. Some of the other ones that we have in the store, and we just dabbled, but we've got the Bitty Burst that I showed you on this card here. We've got the Confetti, which is another smaller one. We've got this one, which is called Artisan Petals Turnabout. We have the Rosie Lane Turnabout. And yes, I was using it with red ink. So here's my. And so it got a little messy.
Red ink always makes a mess.
Yeah, got my little pile here. So that's the other one. This is what it looks like when it is all stamped out. And I have done it both on, forgive me if I keep saying 6x6. It's 5.5 by 5.5. I have also done it on an A2 panel, and we'll talk about that as we go along. And then the one I'm going to demonstrate with tonight is this postmarked one. As many of you are well aware, postage is super hot and super trendy right now. So this is what we are going to be creating with.
I think that's one of the newest ones, isn't it?
I think this one's been out for a while. Artisan Petals was from, I think, the March release. And where you'll see that they're a little bit different. So I do think that this is an older one. Oh yeah, this one's 2020. So this one's been out for a little while, and you'll see that, yeah, there's a few other extras, but the Turnabout stamp itself is fairly large and fairly cohesive. On this Artisan Petal one, and I haven't looked at ones maybe just immediately previous to this, but what they've done is your Turnabout. What's wrong?
You're really fuzzy on YouTube.
Okay.
On Facebook though.
Your Turnabout here is the main part of the stamp, but they have also included some standalone stamps as well as some sentiments. So if you just want to do smaller bits, you can do that as well. And we'll when we get to the layout that we're going to make, we'll talk about that. Okay. So that's kind of the what is our end goal? And like I said, don't worry that this one's red. It's just now well loved. So when you are doing a turnabout,
hold on.
Sorry, Matt's asking me to hold on. He's just checking on.
You're fuzzy here. You were fuzzy on YouTube, but you look like you're okay on Facebook.
Okay, well, we're just gonna keep on keeping on.
Donna says you're fuzzy on her end too. So, and that's Facebook.
How is the resolution for everyone? If you can drop something in the comments here. I'm not sure that there's much that we can do to fix it as we go along, but hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing.
It's resolving here. You might have just had way too much movement going on your phone.
Okay.
Can you plug in your phone? Or is it fully charged?
The phone is fine. It's all good. All right, so we're going to continue on. There are 3 main pieces. Yeah, it's not liking motion here, but okay, let me grab my power cord. Sorry, guys. Maybe we should have done this last night. Maybe the storm would have made it better. I don't know.
Some people are saying it looks good. Some people are saying it's not.
Okay, so there's something in the cyber waves. Let me just get my...
Yeah, see, I'm seeing fuzzy on Facebook, on YouTube, but Janet's saying it's not fuzzy on YouTube. Some people are fuzzy on Facebook, but some people are not.
Okay, well...
So it's unknown. I would say minimize your moving things around.
Well, that's not easy to do. Okay, phone is plugged in. Hopefully. All right, bear with us. Okay.
See, it went pixelated when you were doing that.
Okay, well, there's not much I can do at this point, so we're just going to keep on going, and we are going to learn about turnabouts, and you can try it yourself. So 3 main pieces that are 3 main things that you need for doing a turnabout background. The number one thing you need is a stamp platform of some sort. Does not need to be a MISTI. That's what I'm using tonight. But if you have one of the older ones, if you have a Tim Holtz platform, if you have some from another company, not a problem at all. I'm using the MISTI. if you are using Misty, you at least want the original size. The Turnabout jig will not fit into the mini Misty. It's too small. So we're going to use our original Misty. The other thing that you need is the Turnabout jig, and this is sold separately from the stamp set. I've got 2 in here, but you do only get one in the set. And you know what? If you forget everything that I tell you tonight, don't you worry, because in the jig has a full step-by-step instruction guide to help you put this together. And also with a lot of Concord and Ninth products, if you go to their YouTube channel and just search Turnabout, there are several videos on their YouTube channel as well. What is a jig? I'm going to put it here on the Misty so that you can see it a little bit more clearly. It is a 6x6 piece of heavyweight acetate. There is a cover sheet that pulls off, and you want to keep so that it keeps the surface of your jig protected. I'm going to leave it on for right now, but take it off later. Actually, I'm going to take it off now because I have to show you something. It does have a light low tack stick to it, so it can be used in your Misty or your stamping device just as something to hold your paper in place. Really try hard not to lose that clear piece of acetate. I'm going to put mine back on in a minute. There are some other things to note on your jig, and there are some markings on here that you want to be aware of. First and foremost is this X across the center. That is for lining up your stamp, and we'll do that together. In each of the 4 corners, there is a number. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So as you're rotating, because as much as I said we were going to rotate the stamp, we're actually not rotating the stamp. We're rotating our paper to be stamped on, and that will create that background. And then I'm going to come up closely. I don't know how well it's going to grab. There are some heavier lines around the outsides. One is vertical, one is horizontal, and that is to help you position your A2 card paper if you are using A2. So let me just grab one here. I'm going to switch to a square one for tonight, but if you had an A2, you just line it up. Why do I do have 2 here. You're just going to line it up, and it's going to stick down to your paper. So that is to help you with your alignment and help you with your centering of your paper on the piece. All right, I'm going to put my acetate back on just so that it is protected. And let's talk about number 3, the third thing that you need. In every stamp set is a template to help you with positioning. So let's take this guy out. There is, of course, your stamp set that has some extra little bits to it. But this template here, it's a clear acetate template. There's one in every single stamp set that is custom to that stamp set.
Don't lose it.
Don't lose it. Absolutely do not lose it. What I have been suggesting is maybe keep it here on this cover sheet, or put a piece of copy paper behind it and even photocopy it, just so that you have a backup. The other thing I might do, just as I'm thinking here, is I might get a piece of washi tape or best ever craft tape and actually tape it to this carrier sheet so I don't lose it. But this is what's going to get our stamp in the right spot. So those are the 3 things that you absolutely need. And of course you need your paper and your ink and all that good stuff, but that's pretty standard. So let's go ahead and we're going to make a turnabout background. We're going to go right from the very beginning. So I'm going to open up my Misty. I've got my magnet here. I will tell you, for turnabouts, you don't even need your magnet. I'm going to put my jig in my Misty, snugged into the bottom right-hand corner. I've got my logo at the top and the number 1. Again, I'm not sure. There's a little number 1 with an arrow here in that top right-hand corner. So as long as you've got those 3 things happening, you are in good shape. I do have the acetate still on the jig, and that is because I'm now going to put this acetate on top of it, And I don't want this to stick to my jig. And I'm going to line up this X here with the X on my jig, just like so. And just to keep it in place while I'm positioning things, then yes, I'm going to just put my magnet here so it's off to the side and doesn't slide around. And I'm going to go to my stamp set. Another piece of acetate. There's lots of acetate flying around here. I'm going to pull off my stamp set.
Oh, is it not a square?
It is not a square.
Oh.
It will make a square when we are done, but it is not a square stamp. It is this kind of funky, weird shape. As you saw, probably this is the best way to show you. It's not a square. They try to use every little inch so that you can get lots and lots out of your stamp set. I'm going to take this and now I'm going to line it up. And please forgive me if my head gets in the way. I'm going to try and line it up face down so that every little image here is lining up with that template. This is crucial, so take your time. Don't rush it. It's now lined up. My X's are still in place. And I'm now going to close my lid, give it a gentle press, and my stamp, well, and now my template is now attached to the clear platform on my machine. All right. You are now done with your template, so don't lose it. Let's go ahead and put it away before we get any further. Just get a little piece of washi tape here. And I'm going to do it this way, just so I don't mark anything. All right, that's done. Now your stamp is ready for stamping. Now this is the first time I'm using this stamp, so I'm going to season it with a white eraser. It's a little bit too big for me to get my arm in there. And all this is doing, if you've never seen me season a stamp before, is taking the manufacturing residue off of your stamp so that it accepts the ink a little bit better. So I've used this white eraser, gone over all those surfaces, and now I'm just going to use my scrubbing block tonight. You could take a baby wipe or a damp cloth. I'm just going to give it a little wipe so that that eraser is no longer on there. All right, so now we are just about ready to stamp. Stamp is ready. Get rid of any moisture around the outside. And back over here to my jig. So now I'm going to take this acetate off. I'm going to put that inside my instruction guide. Come on, there we go. So that doesn't get lost. You almost want to have a little box or a little envelope that you're keeping all your acetates in, but I didn't have that ready. Okay, now I'm going to take in my pile here. La la la. Sure, I had one earlier. There it is. My piece of cardstock. It is 5.5 by 5.5, so it is a perfect square. If you are using that A2 card base, again, you're going to keep that within that templated area for you. With this being a larger stamp set, I want to use a larger piece of paper and then cut it down. If you were to go with a larger stamp set but a smaller piece of paper, it's totally fine. You're going to have it lined up so it's going to rotate and turn about the way it's supposed to, but you may get some ink on your jig. All I did when I was done doing all 4 turns was take a baby wipe and wipe it off, and then I also ran it under the tap. If your jig ever starts to lose its sticky, that's all you have to do. Little bit of warm water, little bit of gentle dish soap, and let it air dry. All right, so I'm going to tuck this paper in here, making sure I've got one square all the way around because that's about the maximum that you can get on here. I can see my logo is at the top. My number 1 is in the top right-hand corner, and I am ready to go. Any ink will do. You could use a large size pad, which is what I used on those first florals that I shared with you. Tonight I'm going to use some new colors from Concord and 9th. Lakefront is my favorite. Actually, I might do Harbor, which is an older color, but one that I love. Let's do Pistachio and Pimento. So there's a nice little color scheme there. I do recommend that you go from lightest to darkest and maybe leave your red till the very, very end. That way, if you are lazy or if you miss a spot when you're cleaning in between turns, you can just layer over top. Okay, so I'm taking Harbor. Oops. Still had a sticker on it. Okay, Harbor. And I'm going to cover all my inked areas here, or all my stamp areas. And this may not show up super well because it is a light color. It'll become more clear as we go along, making sure I'm getting all of those spots. But because we are stamping in a MISTI or a stamping tool that you may have, if you need to restamp, you absolutely can. Okay, here we go. You can see the stamp does go from edge to edge. It is a little bit off center top to bottom. Have faith, because as we turn this around, all of those spaces are going to get filled in. And there we go. Already first step is coming together. Some of them are a little bit faint, so I am going to just quickly go over them a second time. And generally, there's enough space that if there was only 1 or 2 images that needed a second stamp, you don't have to do all of them. But here we go. All right. And I'm actually going to get my tool and just give it a little rub. All right. That looks lovely. So now we're going to get into a bit of a rhythm, bit of a repeated pattern. I'm going to start, so I don't forget later on, by rotating my jig 1 turn clockwise. And how I know I've got it right is I've got the number 2 now in the top right-hand corner. I'm going to give my stamp a clean because I'm going to change ink colors. Okay, now I'm going to go to Pistachio. A little bit of blue here at the bottom before I get that green in there. Try your best to do a good job cleaning in between, and then do a super good job at the end. All right, Pistachio. And if you get some on the background surface, no worries, it's not going to touch. Any questions so far, Matt?
Nope.
All right. Everyone's mesmerized.
Sure.
All right.
We'll go with that.
And there's turn number 2. Now, it looks like this one is a little bit light. Let's do one more quick. And the more you use it, the better it's going to accept the ink and give you good images. And what I do recommend, if you're going to go to all the trouble to get this all lined up and ready to go, at least have a couple of pieces of paper ready and do a couple at once. All right, so what's our routine? Rotate.
How would you do a couple at once? Don't you need a jig for each one that you're doing?
So a couple ways. If you had more than 1 jig, so I'm fortunate enough that I have more than 1 jig, I could do like all the blue on a couple. I could do all the green then, or just do like once you've got the stamp, it's just a matter of stamping and cleaning. So you could do 1 set of 4, then maybe you pick a different set of 4 inks. Oh, okay. But once you've got all the tools out, it makes the most sense to not just make 1. One thing I have not tried, but kind of thought might work, is you could also, it's not sticky. You could, if you were brave enough, stick a second piece on the back. Like I said, I haven't tried it yet. If you really wanted to streamline, I would say start with one jig first. Make sure you're going to like this this approach to stamping, and then if you are going ahead and maybe doing your Christmas cards with a turnabout background, then go ahead and invest in a second jig so that you can do a couple of ones, or get together with a friend. Get together with a friend, have their jig, have your jig, and away you go. Now I'm doing Lakeside. And these darker colors show up quite a bit better. Make sure you get all the spots. Now, as a double check before you close it down, make sure that your images are going into a blank space. If they are not going into a blank space, you have not rotated. So make sure you do that first. And I think something might have slipped there because my stuff is overlapping a little bit, but you know what? No one's going to know. All right, so I need a little bit more here. I think that was the only one. There we go. All right, one more rotation. Clean. And yeah, my scrubber's getting a little inky. If when I'm done, and what I did after my red fiasco earlier this afternoon is you just rip this off. This is held on by Velcro, and I've run it under the tap. Yeah, you can also do that. I've run it under the tap, and it'll be good as new for next time. It gets rid of some of this teal in those little nooks and crannies. All right, I have rotated. I just need my last color, this beautiful orangey red pimento color. There we go. 1, 2, 3. It's in the corner, number 4, and here we go. Woohoo! Look at that. How cool is that? And now I need to make sure I clean that part of that stamp up. I can just peel. And now I've got my background all ready to go. I can do a bunch of different things, make it a card. I can fussy cut some of those elements. I can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And if I wanted to do more, I just load up my next piece of paper and away I go. But I think, actually, no, there is one more thing I wanted to show. And so let me clean this up. I did say, so I used white paper on that first one. You don't have to use white paper. It really just depends on the ink that you're using. Definitely, I would recommend using a lighter paper so that all your different colors of inks will show. Other things you could try is you could use clear embossing ink, probably on your last turn, and then use an embossing powder on it. Lots and lots of options. All right, where's my green piece of paper? I'm not going to go all the way around, but I've just got some green paper here. And as much as I showed you using 4 different colors, there's no reason why you couldn't do the same color on all 4 turns. So I'm using that Lakeside again because I know it's a nice dark teal that will look fantastic on this sprout paper.
The poor stamp looks like it's in rough shape now.
It's not in rough shape. It is happy to be used. All right, so I'm going to do 1. And look at that. So it looks like I need a little bit more ink in those little spots. But then I can rotate. Same color. and just create that one layer background or one color background. All right, I'll only do 3, but I wanted to show you.
Joan says her stamp looks like that too, and she's been
excellent. That means
she's been using it.
That means you've been using it, Joan. That makes me so happy. All right. All right. So you can see how that is starting to come together. I can do that one last turn and fill in those last spaces, but it looks just as amazing with one color on colored paper as it does with multicolors on white paper. So there you go. That is really the nuts and bolts, the nooks and crannies, the basics of the Turnabout. Are you guys hooked already?
Oh, I know Joan is.
I know Joan is. I know some of our other St. Mary's ladies were absolutely thrilled to learn this technique. But now the question becomes, what do you do with it when you have them done? So, and I'll clean this later, so I'm just going to get this out of the way. Of course, by all intents and purposes, this was designed to make card backgrounds. You can cut them down to size. You can do larger size cards. You can create strips out of them, treat it very much like pattern paper. But in my description of tonight, I talked about showing you how you can use it on a layout. So let me grab all my flowers. So this was that artisan petals, and I stamped 4 of them. Where's my 4th? 4 of them on that 5.5 by 5.5. And this is where I have too much on my desk. I had those ones that I stamped that were for die cutting. No. Bear with me. Here they are. So this was me using the single stamps. The single stamps that came with that artisan petal stamp set. Little did I know there is actually a coordinating die that goes with it. We don't have that yet. I did add it to my most recent order, but they're not here yet. So I may quickly fussy cut that. But I'm going to start by taking 2 of these guys. Put the other 2 over here. And Matt, when I go looking for it, they're in front of me. And I'm going to use, I wanted to use a nice dark navy blue background. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off that advertising strip. Like so. And because I know that these pieces are 5.5 by 5.5, I'm also going to cut a piece of green pattern paper. So I've got this green Lawn Fawn paper. It's called Green Smoothie. It's a couple of years old, I think. I don't know if we still have it. But I'm going to cut a 6-inch wide strip on this just so I've got a foundation to put these floral pieces on. Now I know what you're saying. I can hear you saying it through the airwaves. These are 5.5 by 5.5. They're not going to stretch all the way across. Don't worry.
That's what I was thinking.
I got you covered. This is that's also where camouflage comes into play. All right, so I'm going to put my 6-inch wide green strip.
What would have happened if you made those papers 6 by 6 when you were stamping them?
If I was making the 6 by 6, they would just go all the way to the outside of the jig. So I wouldn't be able to see the numbers in order to make sure I was doing the turns properly. What you could do is just take a pencil and in that top right-hand corner, you could put the number 1 on there. So at least you know where you started. But for the most part, I don't think you need to go to 6 by 6.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
like we might see Donna tomorrow.
Excellent. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the halfway point. Put this across the middle. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this to the outside edges. And maybe just so that it still looks a little bit more random, I'm making sure that my flowers aren't in the same spot on both pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and attach that down as well. So you can absolutely make your own pattern paper for use on a layout, just like you would on a card.
What, no jaunty angle?
No jaunty angle this time because I want it to look like it is a strip going across the center of my layout. Now I'm going to use this yellow paper to cut some photo mats. So let me do a 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. This is also old Lawn Fawn paper. So 6 1/4 is here. I'm going to do 4 1/4 twice because I can.
You just went digging in your stash then.
I just went shopping my stash. I wanted some nice pattern paper. Did I do that right? Yes, I did. And I'm going to do this one 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. You know, we all have so much paper. Let's use what we've got and let the stamped paper be the hero, even though I'm tucking it in the background. All right. So I've got 2 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, 2 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. Obviously to hold a 4 by 6 and a 3 by 4 photo. But this is how I'm going to camouflage. What's that?
Jaunty angle.
Jaunty angle. I kind of wish now I had gone a little bit bigger, maybe a 5 by 7, but I didn't. So it's good. We're going to make this work. Camouflage is a crafter's best friend. So I've got a 4 by 6 here in the center. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to tuck a second 4 by 6 up there in that top corner. We don't want to cover up too much of our pattern paper. And then we can put that little 3 by 4 down here in that corner. So these will all hold photos. So already, now you can't tell that those are 2 pieces. It just looks like 1 piece. The other thing you can do, just like you would with any pattern paper, is you can die cut these. So I've got one of my Pink and Main pinking circles. Let's see if we can get a couple of die cuts out of this. There's one. And, oh, not stuck to my mat. Let's see if I can do a smaller one. Let's do this one. And, no, we'll do the same one. Can I get? Oh, it's going to be a tight squeeze, but I can get those on there. Okay.
When you said you were going to die cut them, I thought you meant you were going to die cut the actual images.
Well, if I had the dies, then I could cut the actual images. But like I said, I didn't realize that there were dies that went with the Turnabout stamp. So we all learned something new. Whoops.
That's like a surprise.
Surprise! Can you get those off, please?
You're interrupting my popcorn.
Sorry. You may need.
They're really stuck there.
Yeah, there's tape on the back from the packaging, so they sometimes stick. Thank you. Okay. So we could take this circle here and tuck it under. So that floral pattern is continuing. Of course, I gotta have the green showing. I'm gonna put this other big one down here like that. And then maybe just for fun, I'm gonna put this one. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm loving that, but hopefully you're at least getting the idea. Oh, there we go. And tuck it in like that. And then yes, we could fussy cut.
Sorry, did you say you were gonna fussy cut?
You know what? I'm not. This is me cheating.
Into the right size.
Hey, sometimes having the right tools is a good thing. And I think these ones I stamped. Oh no, I can still get that. Okay. So we've got a green flower. This is a yellow flower. A red flower. And a blue flower. So you can die cut. You can piece it together. I'm going to show you one last thing. I probably won't glue it down, but you could also cut letters. Maybe, I think I'm going to use this one. So I'm not going to actually use this on this layout, but how cool is this going to look? So I guess all I'm trying to show you is that don't think that Turnabout Stamps is just for card making. It can also be for layouts. It can also be for journals. But here, look at how fun these letters are. Here, let me do this. Because these are ones that popped out.
If they were the rest of the letters.
They're still in the die. Anyways, you get the idea.
Is the letter die a Concord and knife die?
This is a Concord and knife die. We did have it in before. I'd have to look up the name. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but we can get some more. And not sure. I think we did sell out on this guy. I kind of call it my Star Wars alphabet because to me it looks like the Star Wars crawl at the beginning of the movies. But super fun to be able to cut your letters out of a pattern paper and have it all coordinate. So hopefully I've given you some ideas tonight. Hopefully the juices are starting to flow. I can't wait to make something out of this postage one. I'm super excited about that one. Not that I'm not super excited by all of them, and trying different color combinations. So especially if you were doing, a layout, what you could do is you could do the same pattern, but in 4 different color combinations. So you could do a spring color combination, a summer color combination, a fall, and a winter. If you were doing kind of like a 4 seasons themed layout, or do it for cards too. If you were making, say, a set of cards for someone. Try 4 different color combinations to represent the seasons, and all you need to do is really throw a sentiment on there, and away you go. So that is Concord and Ninth Turnabouts. Don't forget, I highly recommend that you get a jig in order to make these work. It'll make lining it up on your stamping platform a dream. It makes turning things around, pun intended, um, so easy. And it's a lot of fun. It's quite addictive. And if you're going to go to all the trouble and line that stamp up, you might as well make a few while you have it all out. So that's it for me tonight, everyone. Thank you for joining me on a Wednesday. And we look forward to seeing you soon. National Scrapbooking Day this weekend. Looking forward to it. Have a good one, everyone.